Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
You are all set, Leah.
Awesome. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first Pause playlist and educational empowerment series. Our goal here is to create content that brings awareness to substance abuse as well as mental health challenges presented to the presented to the hospitality industry. My name is Leah Kelly. I lead our alcohol responsibility work at Brown Forman, where our focus is to empower mindful choices around beverage alcohol. And one way we do this is through our pause campaign, where we encourage employees, partners, and consumers to take a moment and pause to think, pause to reflect, and pause to act on ways to elevate responsibility. And we know that when we pause, we will make the best decisions for ourselves as well as the communities where we live, serve, play. So today we're pausing to listen to the amazing Mia Love, holistic mindset strategist and founder of The Real Freedom with Love. Today we will speak about the importance of financial literacy, mental fortitude, and physical health. There are a few things we would like to ask our fans on this to do around this content. First and foremost, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram. Please comment below and ask your questions. And don't forget to check out our PDF resources that we'll provide in the comment section as well. And we also have some swag if you fill out the form. We'll have a pause lapel pin for you. And I believe, Mia, we wanted to jump off with a little icebreaker.
Actually, what we're going to do, this is going to be a super interactive session. So we're going to talk about some things that are comfortable, some things that get a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm going to kick it off with just a trigger warning. As you know, we're going to be talking about mental health, financial health, wellness, physical wealth, and those kind of things. And so those can bring on a wave of emotions. But what I really want people to do is to keep this interactive. Let's start out by going ahead and dropping in the chat how you feel about financial health, your current state of financial health. And we're going to do it in the form of a song. We are going to create two playlists and they're going to continue to run. So if you can start out by just dropping the first song that pops into your head about how you feel currently about your financial situation. And then we're going to change that tune as we get to the end of it. Love that. Love it. We got Bills, 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 Destiny's Child. That's one that would come into my head immediately. So just go ahead and drop that in the chat. Let us know how you are feeling about your financial health. And then from there, we're going to keep it rolling. 99 problems, right?
That's a good one.
I hear you. Okay. So that's the icebreaker. Then we're going to jump right into the deck and get started. All right. So everyone, like Leah said, you got the phonetic duo here, Leah and Mia. So my name is Mia Love, and my company is called Real Freedom with Love, formerly the Good Credit Diva. And like I was explaining to some may have already heard this, but my organization started out as the Good Credit Diva. Found out that was a little bit one dimensional for the space that we were in, but wanted to move it over into Real Freedom with Love because that's multifaceted. That gives you all the things that you need to have to be able to go ahead and go on this journey. So, ready to jump into the first slide. All right, so we are going to talk about our pay checkup. We're going to live well now and later. The same way that when you go into your organization, into your bar, your restaurant, you have all the equal parts to make the perfect cocktail. We've got equal parts financial literacy, mental fortitude, and physical health right here at your fingertips. We're going to pull all those ingredients together in the same way that you make a perfect cocktail. We are going to create the perfect blend for your pay checkup. A lot of people say that money can't buy happiness, but lack of money is an expensive price to pay. People say that you can live without money, but that's really not true. Just like you can't live without air, you can't live without money. You need it on some level to be able to function. Now, as hospitality professionals, we are consistently creating memorable experiences. That's why we love what we do, whether you're on the distribution side, wherever you fit in this hospitality space, we are creating and delivering memorable experiences. But the reality of the situation is that when the bar empties, it's time to face the music. Once you turn those lights on and you turn off whatever quote unquote playlist you had for the evening, we don't want the music that's playing for you to be the blues. There's nothing against the blues. I love a good Buddy Guy song. I love Kev Mo, a lot of blues singers, but we don't want that to be the genre that's on repeat for your life. We don't want that to be the way that you feel about your money. So we're going to go ahead and change that. Like I said, we're going to use that chat to create a list of songs. So far, we've got Money by Pink Floyd, 99 Problems, Bills, Bills, Bills. That's generally how people feel. But by the time we get to the end of this session, I want to give you some tools to be able to change how you feel about money. Next slide, please. So, how does your financial health affect your mental health? Well, first of all, let's start out by the fact that it does affect your mental health. People oftentimes think that they're completely separate, but you really can't have good mental health without having good financial health. Now, there's a lot of studies that have demonstrated a link between financial worries and mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. Financial problems adversely impact your mental health, and the stress of debt and other financial issues can leave you feeling depressed or anxious. But outside of the financial studies, the actual studies, that just talking to your friends, talking to your family members and loved ones, that this is the case. When you're in a situation where you don't have the money to pay for something, it's almost impossible to get a good night's sleep or to stay present where you are because your mind is wandering towards that. And that's when we start to put that stress on ourselves and bring in other vices. Financial stress can lead to behavioral changes. We saw this during the pandemic where people were forced to withdraw from situations, but a lot of times that's an involuntary reaction to stress. You start to become introverted, you start to have physical symptoms like stomach aches or headaches, and those are your responses. That's your body responding to that actual mental state that you're feeling, and that could be triggered by all types of different situations. Now, whether you believe in Eastern medicine or Western medicine, it's important to get in front of someone that you're able to talk to. Your friend groups are going to be there, but it's really, really important to ensure that you have somebody that can help guide you through what you're feeling, to affirm the feelings that you're having, and help put you on a better path. Also, certain socioeconomic income situations can be associated with mental health disorders. And, unfortunately, suicide attempts or things like that happen, as the pandemic has shown that there's a reduction in household income is also associated with an increased risk for mental health disorders. And what that basically means is that we've seen people lose jobs, we've seen people lose businesses, we've seen people lose their livelihood, and that demonstrates itself in a way that really leads to mental health disorders. We talk a lot about wanting to create generational wealth. We also want to be able to create generational health. And so these are some of the things that we know happen, but now we're going to shift to how we get ourselves on the other side of those things. Next slide, please. And if these are resonating with you, go ahead and drop some more songs in the chat because, like I said, this is an interactive session and we want to make sure that we're capturing how you're feeling in the moment and then capturing how you feel when we get to the other side of that. So, what ways can we fortify ourselves financially to help us grow in the future? Okay, the first thing that we're going to do, and if you've ever been in one of the classes that we've done in Portland Cocktail Week, I'm true to exactly what I do. They are doing the same things now. I have my oil diffuser here. This one you may recognize specifically from Portland Cocktail Week, but I have oil diffusers. I have candles burning. This is how I kind of get centered, and everybody has their own way to get themselves organized. So before I start anything like this, I create the environment that I want to be in. So I would have incense candles. I have my crystals around me. And the first thing that I want to do is get organized about my debt. So what you're going to do is write down how much money you owe and who you owe it to. Now, I know that this can be anxiety provoking. It's stressful, but you've got to get in front of it. It's important to acknowledge the problem so that you can begin developing a situation. And so whether it's student loans you're dealing with, medical bills, just all the types of things that you owe money to, car payments, taxes, whatever it is, you want to make a list of that. And then start calculating your income. Add up how much income you have coming in every month. You've got to know how much money you're working with each month. This includes picking up shifts, but you don't want to put that as a part of your income. That's a part of something that you'll be able to utilize later. So just make sure that you're putting down exactly how much you know that you're going to be able to make on a guaranteed basis. And remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you start to see that you're upside down on that, we're going to work on getting you to the other side of that. The first thing that you want to do is establish a budget. Determine exactly how much you need to spend on various bills and expenses each month. And then you want to determine if there are some things that you can get rid of. Some of those subscriptions that you have, you don't need every single one of them. One of the things that we talked about with my family over the last holiday is who subscribes to what. For example, I had YouTube TV. My sister has YouTube TV. My dad has YouTube TV. My brother has YouTube TV. We have one family subscription, and you're allowed to do that with YouTube TV and broadcast it in up to 5 houses. So why would all of us pay $69 or however much it is when you can share? And some of the subscriptions that we have were things that we weren't even using. So just take a look at all of those things, but it's really, really important to establish a budget. Some people use the envelope system, and there's tons of different budgeting tools that I can go into. But if you're living a cash life, you want to put your money in envelopes. And when that envelope is empty, you don't take money from the other envelope to pull. So you could have a food envelope, an electricity or utility envelope. You have a gas envelope. You have a transportation and a fund. And when fun is over, you can't go and take that from the grocery envelope and move that over. You want to just make sure that you're being honest about what your budget looks like and seeing where you need to make some changes. Now, some people think that it's tedious to be able to track your spending. So there are a ton of free budgeting apps that you can use to do that. There's NerdWallet, there's Mint. All those are free apps that you can use to help track your spending. And then it shows you exactly where you are and where you need to make those adjustments. And then make a list of reasons why you don't want to keep online shopping. I actually have my list right here on a post-it note that's attached to my laptop because I love to shop online, but it also becomes a vice. So when I'm tempted to shop online, I have that right here because I see the list of reasons why shopping isn't healthy for me. And then it helps me avoid that temptation. When Amazon says it's Amazon Day, the first thing you want to do is pick up your phone and empty everything that's in your cart and start purchasing those things. But that may not be the best plan of action. So just make sure that you're being honest with yourself about where you are in your budget to avoid that temptation. And then get support, get financial advice, mental health treatments, and peer support that help you stay on track. You want to find a support group that could be somewhere that's in your peer group, or find a financial advisor or someone that can actually create that circle for you. And if you're not ready to take that step of meeting someone in person, there are tons of online support groups. We're already on social media enough. So there are social media groups that you can join, and you can just sit there and audit it. You can sit there and read what's going on, or you can jump into the conversation, or you can just listen to podcasts and things like that that help you get to the place that you want to get to. Next slide, please. So let's keep going with these ways to fortify ourselves. Some people wake up and they check their phone. I've done it before. One of the things that I've done to change that is I don't plug my phone in next to my bed. I used to plug it in, then I got a longer cord so that I could actually reach the bed with the phone. But now what I do is I plug my phone in far away from me so that I have to actually get up and walk over there to check the phone. So it's an intentional act. Because if you pick up that phone first, you're going to have an email from Bloomingdale's or Nordstrom Rack, or like I said, the Amazon sale or Marshall's or whatever it is. That's going to trigger you and put you in a situation where you're going straight into shopping, and you're using that to void, and you're falling into habits that become self-soothing. But what's better is when you wake up in the morning and start doing breath work. So what that means is that you're obviously waking up, you're breathing. When you wake up, you put your hand on your heart, you feel that heartbeat, you thank your body, you thank your lungs for filling with air. You thank your heart for beating. You thank your body for all the functions. You open your eyes. You thank your eyes for giving you the ability to see. Even if you're like me and you need 4 eyes instead of 2, you still start thinking about all the things that you're grateful for. And you put this in front of a lot of the other things that you're doing. You do a gratitude stretch, and you thank your universe or whoever your higher power is for waking you up that morning. You really just go into your day with a form of gratitude. And a lot of people feel like meditation has to be something that takes a long time, and you block out all sounds, when in actuality, meditation can be 60 seconds. It's just a moment of quieting your mind and getting ready for the day. Now, there may be all types of things happening. Kids may be screaming, things may be going off. You may have a train like I have outside going, but just being able to take a moment to come inside yourself and just say, listen, I'm here and I'm going to have an amazing day. You can create a short mantra for yourself. I have one that I use. Everything is perfect. Today is beautiful and I'm ready. And sometimes I don't have time to go through all that. So I just say perfect, beautiful, ready. And I repeat that to myself a couple times as I get ready to go into the day. Now, there's another thing that I had to learn on my own. Do not take your bills into your bedroom. I'm going to say it again. Do not take your bills into your bedroom. Let me tell you why. Because that space of rest is programmed for rest. You don't want to confuse the energy in your room. You don't want to confuse the energy in that space and let it think that it's for anything else other than you being able to rest. So when you go into your room in the evening, that should have some nice music playing or some candles burning or incense or whatever makes you feel good. Spray a little lavender, whatever makes you feel good about that space. Put your favorite blanket on the bed, but you don't want to take your bills into your room. And if you can avoid it, I know this is difficult sometimes, but don't bring your laptop into the bed because you're also confusing the space where you're supposed to rest and giving it the energy, making it think that it's someplace that you're supposed to work. So if you're like me and you're into stones, you may want to have a stone that you use to discharge negative energy or a stone that you use to give you that place of peace and that place of rest. Bring those things into your room. I have one of my favorite candles that I just got is a candle that has a wooden wick. So that's something that I love because the wick is made out of Palo Santo. That smells great. The candle smells great. So I'll put that in my room a little while before I go in there, and then it creates a place of peace. But again, do not take those bills into your room. And then this is one that is easier said than done. Don't get high on your own supply. You may have heard that in a song lyric before, because the spirits will not always soothe your spirit. We know that it's very easy to reach for those things because we are right there in the bar, but we want to make sure that we're taking the time to appreciate the things that put us in a great place and appreciate the things that don't put us in our best mood or that won't soothe our spirit. So there's a time and a place for fun. There's a time and a place for everything. And even if you are feeling like you're in a situation where you're having money problems, you're having financial problems, and you still want to go out and hang with your friends, that's where those mocktails come in. That's where those highballs come in, or low ABV type situations. So you can still participate, but you're not creating those placebos, because that really, really manifests itself in certain ways and puts you in a worse place. Now, surround yourself with people who understand where you're trying to get to. If you do say, hey, right now I'm not drinking right now, you don't want to surround yourself with people that are going to pressure you or make you feel some kind of way about that. Or if you're with the brunch crowd, my friends and I love to go to brunch, but sometimes people will say, okay, well, I'm in a home brunch season right now. I'm happy to do brunch, but we need to do brunch at your house. Surround yourself with people that understand what that means, to be able to just do a potluck or do something light and not feel like you have to go out and spend a bunch of money, or people that want to go for a walk with you or want to go talk with you or support your efforts, because self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. Be honest about your status. If you think about your mental health the way that you think about this cell phone, when your phone is about to die, and you do this as well as your clients in the bar, when that phone's about to die, you are going to find a charger. You got to think about yourself the same way that you think about that phone. Find a charger and plug in to a source of power. Find a charger and plug into something that's going to get you out of the yellow, get you out of the red, and get you into the green. Hopefully, this is starting to resonate with you and you're starting to think of some other songs that are making you feel a different way about this journey. If so, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the chat, but I'm going to keep going with this. And also, just like when you get on a plane, put your own mask on before assisting others. You've got to be able to help yourself so that you can help other people. What I realized on this journey is that I was trying to give advice before I took my own advice. And it's one thing to walk through it with someone else, but it's something else to be able to feel like you're giving advice that's not fully vetted. So you want to know kind of how that makes you feel, because then you can share your story with other people. You can say, hey, listen, when I first started this journey, I can tell you when I first started, I used to use my bills for coasters, and all I had was a bunch of wet bills there that didn't do anything but make sure that they didn't get paid. So what I did after that is I started opening the mail. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but it was something that I needed to make sure that I did. So I was putting my own mask on, and then I was able to talk to people about how I felt about the situation that I was going through. And I want to make sure that you are able to do the same thing. Next slide, please. So let's talk about what your health and well-being means to you. Your health and well-being means to you something that is priceless. It's something that you cannot put a price on. We know that your copay may cost something. We know that a doctor's visit may cost something. You may get a medical bill in the mail, but your health and well-being is priceless. So you want to do whatever it takes to make sure that you are in a good position to be able to take care of yourself. Now, would you rather have 100 pennies or 4 quarters? For me, the answer is 4 quarters. You don't need a lot of people around you in your circle. You just need a few high value individuals to be able to change your circumstances, because quantity can mute the message. If you have a bunch of people telling you something different and all those people have not gone through the circumstance, it could really confuse the message. It could have you confused on what direction that you want to go. But if you keep your circle small and of high value, you're going to be able to not have to worry about judgment. You don't have to worry about people coming to the circle and thinking that they don't understand where you're going, or are not going to support you on that journey. So keep those 4 quarters around. It's okay to have all the pennies there too, but you want to keep your circle small and of high value. And then the other thing is that you've got to keep moving. Every single thing that you do beats a zero. I know that we have some people like the health tender that will get us out there and have us doing amazing exercises. Some people are not there yet. For my birthday this year, my goal is to be able to do a 5K. Some folks are doing, marathons, and that's fine too. But every single thing that you do beats a zero. So if you can do some toe touches while you're behind the bar, you can do some jumping jacks or take a little walk on your break or things like that. I know Leah was just saying she went for a walk before we started. Whatever you can do to get that good prana energy flowing, whatever you can do to keep your body moving is going to be incredibly important. You've just got to make sure that you're doing something that beats a zero. Please feel free to go ahead and continue to drop some songs in the chat. There's some interesting stuff popping up there. Make sure you drop some songs in the chat to let us know how you are feeling on this journey. Next slide, please. So with that, I want to bring Leah back on and answer some of your questions and go from there.
Mia, you've given us gym after gym today. So thank you for that. I'm not seeing any questions at this point. So if you all have any questions from what Mia has shared with us today, from, how can you talked about skills to fortify ourselves holistically, recharging yourself like you recharge your cell phone. That's one that I'm taking home with me. Keeping the bills out of the bedroom. What else? If you don't have questions, what's been impactful for you all today? Oh, here's one. Go ahead.
Okay.
What are some of the best apps for organizing debt, in your opinion, Mia?
One of the best apps is Mint, because Mint gives you a really quick and easy snapshot of where you are versus where you're trying to go to. NerdWallet is good too, but Mint just breaks it down super easy. It tells you you've got budgets set up for where you're trying to go. And when you exceed your budget, I know some people have heard me tell the story. My sister will go on her Mint when I ask her if I want to go somewhere, and she's like, nope, I've exceeded my Mia budget for the month. I can't go out to eat. If you want to hang out, we can do Costco or Trader Joe's and you can come over. So Mint just gives it to you right there in direct. And it also gives you what your net worth is. A lot of people don't think they have a net worth, but Leah, I bet if I ask you what your favorite celebrity's net worth is, you know the answer to that question, right? Or you've heard it before.
Definitely heard it before.
Right. So we all have our own net worth. And when you start to think about what your net worth is and you're able to pour into yourself, it makes it so much easier because you're no longer worried about other people's net worth. You're starting to be able to see that you have something that's trackable and you concern yourself more with that than anything else.
Absolutely. So being able to recognize your own value on what's probably the daily basis. And also, I'm a little nervous. I'm the go out to eat friend too. So me and my friends may have to have a talk after downloading Mint. Another question for you, Mia. Speaking of friends, how do you talk to your friends about some of the debt issues you may be going through, if you do at all?
Sure. A lot of times it's going to come organically through conversations. When you're having organic conversations or honest conversation with your friends, stuff like that's going to come up. Like you said, you guys are the go out to eat crew. So sometimes it's like, you may suggest that we go out to eat on the first of the month. And I'd be like, girl, I just paid all of my bills on the first of the month. I mean, we could go out to eat, but it's not going to be, you'll be able to tell my mood, right? I'm sitting there like, I'm just going to go ahead and get this, or I'm just going to have the salad, or I'm just going to have this, because you don't want to get into a point that you're feeling like you have to mask. That's where that 4 quarters versus 100 pennies comes in. Because if you're in every group, you're in every social situation, you're doing everything, then you're hanging around those pennies and you're not investing with the quarters. The quarters are the ones that I can say, hey, Leah, listen, I don't mind having brunch today. I really want brunch today. In fact, I'm hungry. Can't you see I look hungry? But what I would love for us to do is get a bottle of our favorite bubbly, and then you bring it over and I'll make some hash browns, and then we'll get a piece of salmon, and we'll just, and that sparks those organic conversations to where you're not trying to, be the crowd pleaser. And I know as hospitality folks, we always want to go out and support other people that are working in places that we know and love, but we also have to figure out where we are at this particular point in our life and just have those honest conversations. Or I may say, hey, listen, I just mastered this new recipe that I think is amazing and I want you to come over and try it. So how about we do brunch at my house? If you're not comfortable saying right now I'm broke or I don't have the money, you can be like, hey, I finally figured out how to make a paper plane. You see me order them all the time. How about you come over and you try my paper plane and let me know what you think about it? People always want to give you opinions. So if you're not ready to enter into the conversation about your finances specifically, but you want to kind of turn brunch or dinner or whatever back in the house, then you say, hey, I just mastered this recipe. And it's not necessarily something that's being inauthentic. It's giving you the space to grow into that moment to where you are able to have those honest conversations with your friends about what your circumstances look like.
No, absolutely. And Mia, that's making me think of something personal on my end where I'm actually just working on some things where some of my responses to maybe some not quarter friends, but maybe let's call them dimes, maybe a couple nickels, where I'm like, you know what, I've eaten already, but what are you doing after? Let's go on a walk. I live in Atlanta, so there's plenty of things to do that feel free 99 or free 99 enough. So even just offering up something else to do too.
Absolutely. That is a phenomenal suggestion. I actually have a friend that did that. We were going somewhere just recently, and she said, oh, I actually already made a salad at home, but I will join you guys after if you want to go for a walk. And that was perfect. And I thought it was great because we actually weren't even considering going for a walk. And it reminded us that after we ate all that brunch, we needed to go for a walk. So love it. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely walking it out. And then kind of on that theme of family and friends as well, what are some ways to set healthy boundaries for your family when it comes to spending?
This question is very near and dear to my heart. You have to let your family know what your priorities are. If there's something that's your goal, for example, I have a vacation that I'm planning for, I talk about that vacation because you know that I have to save for the vacation. So a lot of times when people say, oh, let's do da da da, I'm like, ooh, you know what? That's going to impact my trip. I really need to make sure that I'm in a good place when I go on this vacation. Or your goal could be something as simple as getting a new thing for your car or getting, your brakes, your tires, whatever. You put your priorities out there and you talk about those and how they're important to you. And that sets the boundaries for your family automatically. Or people could say, oh, such and such is having a birthday party. You flying in? Oh, you know what? I would love to fly in, but I already made a commitment to myself that I'm going to start doing this. And instead, what we can do, the pandemic has taught us that you can have every single party, every single event right here on these internet platforms. So I may be able to visit you virtually, but I won't be able to come in physically for the holidays because I have some really big goals. Hey, what are you working on right now, Leah? Say we're doing something and you're like, oh, come in, I'm having a birthday party. I may say something like, hey, Leah, what are you working on for this quarter? What is
Mhm.
something that you're really working on? Tell me one of your financial goals and let's be accountability partners. You help me get to my space where I am with my vacation, and I'll help you get to your space where you are with whatever your goals are. And that helps set boundaries as well.
Absolutely. And it's also more fun at the finish line when you got people with you. So I love that.
100.
Um, Another question for you, and this is a really good one. When do you know it's time to spend some of the money you've been saving? I know it can be hard to break into your savings.
Absolutely. So there's two different ideologies on that one. I know a lot of people say you can't take it with you, and hearse. U-Haul is not coming behind the hearse or whatever your particular beliefs are. But what you want to do on the front side of that is you want to set goals. Your goal, some people say, I want to have 3 times months savings, right? And if that's what you're comfortable with, some people say 6 months. It depends on what your particular financial plan is. And once you reach that goal, then it's time to start spending a portion of it. In our mind, we can always come up with a way, right? I got paid. It's time for me to spend some money. In actuality, if I haven't reached my financial goals for that, if I haven't reached my wellness goals for that, because what's going to happen is that you spend that money and then now you're up again at night because you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I spent that money, but I didn't take care of the brakes on the car. It's about to start snowing outside. Now you're stressed and you put yourself back into a trigger situation. Whereas if you have those goals written down and your goal is to have 3 times your monthly expenses, Once you hit that, then you can go out and buy whatever it is that you feel like you need or you want, and you haven't taken yourself away from your goals. So it makes it easier for you.
So treat yourself after you meet your goals.
Well, it really comes down to paying yourself first.
Mm,
That's that's the easiest rule. Pay yourself first. Once you've already paid yourself first, as much as you want your organization to pay you, then you can go ahead and start to spend everything else because you've already knocked it out of the park with what you want for yourself.
yeah. I love that shift of like it's you're starting with yourself. It's not punishment. It's you feel it like exercise. Like it hurts when you're doing it sometimes, but it's good for you.
Absolutely.
I love that. And then another one, I know the tax deadline just passed, but would you mind speaking to some good practices for declaring tips as well as taxes?
There's actually an app for that as well. So Tipsy. Tipsy is the app that you want to use for that. And that will help you figure out where you are with that. Even in my mind, so with my brand, I pay my taxes quarterly. But as an individual employee, I pay my taxes like everybody else. Like yesterday, you could file late, but you couldn't pay late, right? So anytime you can avoid those types of things, you want to go ahead and do that. But the biggest thing to do is to think about it in ways that are quantifiable for yourself. For homeowners, a lot of times, if your taxes are not coming out of your mortgage, you want to make sure that you're at least setting them aside. For people that are renters, you want to make sure that if your goal is to be a homeowner, that quarterly you're setting enough money aside for you to be able to reach that goal. So it's really taking everything in small bite-sized pieces and not trying to dive into it, but making sure that you know where you're trying to get to, making sure that you know what your goals are, and then simply just creating a formula to make that happen for you with something that's not stressful. It's got to be a realistic goal. If I know that I'm going to owe 17,000 in taxes, I know that there are only 12 months in a year, so I know I'm going to have to do a little bit more than $1,000 a month to get to that. But then break it down into a smaller piece. If 12 months is too small, break it down into 52 weeks and know how much you have to put, because psychologically that smaller number is much easier to digest. Even I just thought about that right now. If I had to come up with $1,000 a month, I'm already like, whoo. But if I break that down, it's a lot easier if I go into months than if I go into weeks than if I go into days. So just continue to play that numbers game with yourself till you get to the point that it's comfortable and digestible for you.
Going back to the connection of it's not just finances, but there's the psychology behind your money, and would you say that and that psychology looks different among everybody? So
Absolutely.
another question, and this hits home for I'm sure a lot of us, but with raising rent costs in particular across the country, what percentage of my take home should go to my rent versus to my rent as well as my savings?
Sure. So you want to try to save 30% of what you're making. Now, I remember way back when, and this was a long time ago, I'm going to date myself. Back in the day, people used to try to say that you should make your age. So, for example, if I'm 35, I should be trying to make 35,000. That's out the window now. So you got to try to multiply that depending on where you live by two or three, depending on where you live in the United States or out of the country and what your cost of living looks like. But you want to try to save 30% of what you make. And if this month you can only save 10, then try to go a little bit harder at another time, but not in a way that stresses you out. As far as your rent or mortgage, you want to live within your means. So once you've created your budget, sometimes it's hard to do a hard line percentage of it because some people say that you shouldn't spend more than 50%. For me, that's a little bit high. I don't want to spend 50% of my annual salary, but I also know that rents are really, really expensive right now. So you want to keep that around the 30 to 40% range maximum, because in the back of your mind, that emergencies fund is most important. Once you have 3 to 6 months of savings put away, then you're able to live a little bit more freely than if you want to go to the deluxe place or you want to go to the place with more amenities. If there's a trade off there, think about this, Leah. If I live in an apartment complex and I'm paying for a gym membership that costs me $60 a month, but I can spend an extra $500 in a year to live in a better building that already has a gym in it, that's a trade-off that's acceptable because I'm not only not having to spend money on gas or on public transportation, but I'm also guaranteeing that because it's right there in the building, I'm probably going to work out more often. So that gets
Mhm.
your physical health going. That also gets your mental health going. And then on top of that, you are also saving money. So it's really a ratio that deals with each person's individual circumstance.
Absolutely. And even to your point, like not undermining some of the smaller things too. My apartment complex has a little dog park. I'm not gas is high. I'm not I'm not going across town to take Montana, that's my dog's name, to the dog park anymore because we can go around the corner. I'm getting my exercise, we're hanging out, and it works. So even things like that. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and it
How's
looks like,
the
go
playlist
ahead.
going?
What'd you say?
I said, how's our playlist going? Want to continue to hear those songs? I'm gonna download this playlist on my platform. I don't know which one you use, so that's why I want to make sure that we've got our songs up there because I want people to be able to play that back.
Absolutely. Any additional songs? It looks like we're out of questions, but feel free to drop in your songs of how you're feeling from this conversation. And Mia, while that's happening, do you have any parting thoughts for us, or words of encouragement or affirmation as we wrap up today?
The biggest thing that I want to make sure that people realize is that this is a marathon and not a sprint. As we get into this next quarter of the year, people are starting to look at where they feel like they should be. The biggest thing is know that you're growing from where you were to where you're getting ready to get to. And you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. You want to be realistic with your goals. You want to make sure that the goals are attainable. I get people that come to me and say, I want to go from a 512 credit score to a 740 in a month. Okay, well, that's no more possible than it would be for me to go from one size to another size in 30 days. You can do it, but it's not healthy in the way that you get there. We want to build sustainable health, sustainable wealth, and realizing that you're putting everything in order, making sure that you're setting yourself up for success, because finances impact your mental health and your physical health so much that we want to make sure that everything that you're doing is in line with making sure that you're going to be the best person that you can be, not only for yourself, but for everyone that impacts you. But most importantly, that you're taking care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Mia. That was not only encouraging, but that was just, I think, and something that we all needed to hear again. So thank you so much. Um, I think that this will be posted and this will be shared. Give me a follow. And if you enjoyed this class, please hit like or the love button, show some love in the comments. And if you want to see more Portland Cocktail Week classes like this one, follow Portland Cocktail Week on Facebook. That's dropped on the banner below, or YouTube. And we're also at PDXCW on Instagram. You can find out what's coming up next there. Thank you so much, everybody.
Get those pins too. Get your pins once you go through the pause playlist. You can get that lapel pin there. So you want to make sure you get that. Portland Cocktail Week has been an amazing resource for us as well, Brown Forman. So we're super excited about being able to bring this to you. Hey, if you have any questions for me, you can go to my social media links, Original Mia Love, Real Freedom with Love, or realfreedomwithlove.com, and schedule a free discovery call. I'm happy to design something specific to you. We can talk about it and get you to where you need to be.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely.